Try this! I kneel before no man!
What up, internet? I've just been playing video games the last few weeks, and recently Final Fantasy 15 updated to its new story DLC, episode Gladio, and there's a few issues that I kind of have with it, and it's not necessarily a bad game. It's a really fun game, but to be honest, there is a lot of problems with just the game in general. To be quite frank, it's a really fun, self-contained action game. I would almost expect this to be a release that would be a really great iPhone app or like iPad game where you just play as one of the singular characters in Final Fantasy 15. They actually kind of did this for Amazon pre-release bonus rewards. If you were actually to buy the game through Amazon and buy the season pass as well, you got like this really cool kind of like browser mini game that you could play or just, you know, using clicks as Noctis. That's kind of what this feels like because the game doesn't really do a great job of explaining how to actually play it. At first, I felt like I was just mashing buttons. Just like, you know, Gladio feels great. Honestly, he just like punches through guys, like one click, and then all of a sudden he's just gonna throw a haymaker. But honestly, I never really got a chance to learn how to play the game until the game's difficulty went like really crazy. And to be honest, that's also kind of an issue. The game isn't really explained well. You're kind of thrown into this scenario that's taken out of context. The episode takes place in the garrison where you fight Ravus, and it makes Gladio kind of feel a little bit weak because he can't take on Ravus, and he feels like he's very inadequate because he can't protect the prince. So he goes on this like weird spirit journey in the middle of the game, and they buddy him up with Cor Leone, which is a character who we were initially supposed to have as one of our main characters in the game itself, upon like release of Versus 13. But the weird thing is, Cor Leone's story is super duper ultra mega short. You only get like bits and pieces of, I guess, him as a young child, but you don't actually see any of it. It's through like these campfire conversations, which honestly, they kind of feel very imposed. Honestly, I feel like he plays worse than in the main game. I remember actually being the very beginning of the game, getting the first Sword of the King, and Cor Leone was just mowing down all of these enemies in front of me. It was incredible. In this episode, he just occasionally slashes a few enemies. I get it that it's his trial, but honestly, he seems like a much weaker character in general. You don't get the same powerful characters. That's another issue I have with the game. You don't have the same Gladio that you're raising throughout the game. You have like this weird level 24, and I get the whole idea of giving you a pre-made character to like send you through the story, but he doesn't feel as powerful as he does in the game itself. It's not like a one-to-one scale like main storyline Gladio and side story Gladio. It just feels like two completely separate characters, and it's really clumsy. The game kind of progresses, and you're going through this trial, and it's almost like it's kind of like a game of death kind of circuit where you're like going higher and higher up these caves, and you're fighting all these like high level monsters, which is really cool because you get to see Gladio shine in these like basically arena style battles, which are really cool. But the game does a really poor job of describing any of the controls. To be honest, the only time I was able to really control him was when I was challenged by Cor Leone. The game actually forced me to relearn how to play the game. So I started experimenting with different button presses, different timings, different ways to dodge. Apparently, Gladio can dodge a lot better than Noctis, which is even weirder. But once you kind of get the hang of it, battling Gilgamesh and battling Cor Leone at the end of the game is essentially pointless. Because it's like it turns a really cool epic battle that could have these really epic story repercussions into like a 5-minute segment that kind of is a moot point, because at the end you're not really satisfied. The ending is just, I'm really strong. Thank you guys. That's it. That's the end of the story DLC. It's really disappointing, to be honest.
Not exactly the souvenir I had in mind. It took me a while, but I realized something. You're right. I am afraid. Afraid of accepting the fact that maybe I'm not really cut out for the job I'm expected to do. But hey, at least I'm not walking away empty-handed. I'd better get going. I may be all muscle and no metal, but I'm gonna keep protecting Noct the only way I know how.
Kind of the most disappointing thing about the story DLC for Final Fantasy 15 is that it kind of feels like a band-aid that Hajime Tabata actually put on the main storyline, because they're releasing these really cool like press releases saying like, oh, we're gonna tease at this, we're gonna expand this person's story, we're gonna go back to our original concept with Tetsuya Nomura. But honestly, none of that really shows, because these are just like really weak small side stories. And honestly, this is not like a thing where I feel entitled to a bigger game, but to be honest, I don't feel like they're gonna be worth like the $6 we're shelling out for all of them. Don't get me wrong, I paid for the game, I paid for the super premium edition with the DLC, hell, I even paid for a few of the super awesome weapons that they have. But honestly, none of it really helps the main storyline, because the main story is still broken. Even the little epilogue you get that is supposedly the tutorial for playing Gladio, they're all really, it's all really just weak observations that you've already made in the main game. The only really cool thing is you get like one radio broadcast that talks about the plague that's actually happening in Niflheim. But you've already seen that in the documents. Like, I don't know. It's just all bad. I really, really hope that the Prompto DLC fixes a lot of the story issues, but to be honest, they're already present in the main game. And it's not to say that I didn't enjoy Final Fantasy 15. It's a really great action game, and the DLCs are really great short action games. But they still don't make up for the fact that the storyline is so problematic, nothing makes sense. The mythology is hidden in like random pieces of paper and even like pieces of a dungeon. Honestly, it kind of feels like they're taking Final Fantasy back and trying to make it into like an RPG like Bloodborne or Dark Souls, where you're just like piecing things together as you're going through the journey, which is great. But honestly, that's not Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy is a game that shows you this beautiful world through amazing cinematics and amazing character development, but you're not really having any of that. And it's not present in the DLC yet, as far as I'm concerned, because Gladio, he's a great guy, he's one of my favorite characters, but he's like a redneck. He's just a big dude with a mullet. And to be honest, that's not really a great character that I want to root for. And this DLC is just kind of whatever. But anyway, this week I'm going to start playing Persona 5, and I'll probably have a lot better of a video because it is super exciting, and it's another game that I've been waiting for forever. And it's going to be super awesome, and I hope you join me, and I'm out. Take care, guys. Alright, great. Thanks for joining me, and if you like this video, go ahead and press the like button and the subscribe button down below, and throw something down in the comment section if you kind of disagree with me with the whole Final Fantasy DLC thing, or if you're really excited for the next DLC. Thank you so much. Take care, guys.